back from last week's Mystery Hopper, I can now reveal that the brewery was Hawkstone Brewery. And I'm here today with Don to do our 5 minutes with Faram segment. Hello everyone, I'm here at Hawkston Brewery today with Don, who is your the brewing director here at Hawkston. So we're going to do our 5 minutes with Faram segment. We're going to go through sort of Don's favourite beers, favourite hops and all sorts of things like that. So to start off the session, Don, what's your favourite hop?
I think favourite hop is Motueka. I think it's quite a universal hop that can be used in IPAs and lagers. It's quite versatile and it throws out some beautiful fruity flavours and quite grassy as well.
Yeah, lovely stuff. So do you brew a lot with that in your beers here, or?
We don't have it in any of our beers here, but but I have brewed with it quite a lot in the past. I've brewed it with it in lagers and IPAs, and I've found it fantastic.
Oh, happy days. So what would you say your favourite beer is? You can pick one from here or one from anywhere in the world, really.
Favourite beer, I think one of the ones that really kind of sparked my attention in brewing was the Cloudwater DIPA V3.
Okay.
Because before that, I'd never really had DIPAs, and my mate was like, "Oh, you try this beer? It's like £10 a bottle." I was like, "What are you on about?" I tried it, and ever since then, there was a spark in my brain that went, "That's how beer can be."
Yeah.
And it just stands out in my mind as a standout beer. It's delicious.
Happy days. So, say you're drinking one of these DIPA beers, what would you pair that with food-wise? Have you got like a go-to dish or snack or?
I think a DIPA is quite intense flavours. I think it would be like strong cheeses. Yeah. Like a nice cheese board with some charcuterie. Sorry.
Yeah. Cold meats.
Cold meats, yeah. That's probably easier to pronounce. Us Irish people aren't very good at pronouncing things. But yeah, cold meats and strong cheeses.
There we go, happy days. No, we get quite varied answers on that one. So you sometimes get things like cheese is a pretty popular one actually to say.
Because it kind of cuts through flavour and like it like moves the saliva around your mouth so you taste more.
Well, it definitely opens up your palate, I guess.
That's the one.
And we get other answers like we get smash burgers, steaks, that sort of thing. Quite often if people say like a stout's their favourite beer, they'll be like, "Oh, just drink that on its own because it's like a meal on its own anyway," sort of like full-bodied flavour, that sort of thing. So, so have you got any like favourite pubs either in England or across the world? Or
one pub that I love is it's like a brew pub on the edge of Ireland. It's called Brewer Don. So it's Irish, like in an Irish-speaking region in Ireland, near Dingle. And they brew their own beers. The stouts are phenomenal. And it's just like it's the last town before the Atlantic Ocean. So the last town before America. And you just got the roaring waves coming in, sitting in the beer garden, enjoying a nice pint. It's just a wonderful place to be.
Very nice indeed. So obviously we're at Hawkston today, as you can tell from the big thing in the background. So when you're brewing sort of day to day, what's one item that you can't live without in the brewery?
Probably the wrench, the RJT wrench. if I didn't have that, I'd be like trying to open bolts with my hand and
breaking all your fingers.
Yeah, something like that.
So when you are brewing in the brewery, do you have like a go-to like playlist, song, radio station, podcast that you listen to, or?
Podcast, like I don't really listen to podcasts while I'm brewing, but like the This Week in Craft Beer podcast is like a great podcast to listen to if you want to listen to a podcast while you're brewing. But music wise, generally trying to kind of listen to country music.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah, like Zach Brown Band, Chicken Fried. That's kind of good, like.
So they're quite upbeat. Yeah. Like, so I guess brewing's such a physical job at some points, isn't it? You've got to have that sort of energy behind you. Can't really...
Like happy white neck American guy just pounding out the tunes.
No, fair enough. Don't know if I'll give that one a listen, but I'll take your word for it on that one. So if you weren't in brewing, obviously you mentioned you've been to lots of different, worked at lots of different breweries previously. If you weren't in brewing, what would you be doing instead if you've got...
I think I'd be in advertising, like madmen. Okay. Like, I quite like thinking and talking about branding.
Yeah.
Like,
could be marketing.
What?
Could be in marketing, like me.
Yeah. I did journalism and politics in uni.
Right, okay.
So like, and I have my own brewery down in Portsmouth, and I love seeing the brand come to life. Like I love describing what I want. Not very good at Photoshop, but if I can get someone to do what I like to make the brand I want.
Yeah,
I think that's quite an interesting thing.
Yeah, you could sort
like
of picture the vision. Yeah, the concept. Yeah, exactly. So, how did you go from politics and journalism then into brewing?
So after uni, so when I was in uni, the iPhone came out, and apps came out. So like when I went into uni, journalists were getting paid a decent amount of money. When I came out of uni, everyone was getting this for free on apps. So journalists got paid rubbish money. So I didn't know what I wanted to do for ages. And I was managing a bar in Frankfurt in Germany. Okay. So I lived in Frankfurt for 3 years. I was living near a brewery in Frankfurt. And I just used to go down on my days off and pick the brains of the brewer. And that's kind of what like got my juices going in my brain. I was like, I could do this. I got quite interested in it.
Yeah.
And then I moved from Frankfurt to Birmingham. And then I got a homebrew kit and started tinkering around at home in my kitchen.
Yeah, no.
So and then I became a full-time brewer about 8 years ago.
And you've been doing it ever since?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely stuff. So do you have an inspiration that either got you into brewing or someone you aspire to brew with, or?
John Kimmock. I'd love to brew with John Kimmock. He's the head brewer and founder of Alchemist in America.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal brewery for IPAs. He's the one that came up with the whole New England style. Like, he'd just be a great guy to sit down for a day and brew with him or pick his brains.
Yeah, definitely. Very nice. So, sort of outside of brewing, go back outside of brewing now. Do you have any sort of hobbies or interests outside the brewery?
Quite into F1.
Oh, right, yeah.
So I follow F1. I watch the races every week. I haven't been to a F1 race since I was 12. I went to one once when I was 12 in the year 2000. And I used to go karting with my parents at like every birthday I went karting. And I used to send my timesheets off to Formula 1 teams. Go, oh, I want to be a Formula 1 driver. Never happened.
Maybe they didn't get that message. So, who do you support? Who do you follow?
Verstappen. So we follow Red Bull.
Yeah.
So
nice.
me and my girlfriend are both into F1.
Okay.
So we both follow it religiously.
There we go. Very nice. So it's nice when people have different interests outside of work, isn't it? Especially something like sport is a big one that when we do these sorts of interviews, people always talk about sports. So definitely, there's such a big following for F1 now.
Yeah,
and people
like the drive to survive really got people into it.
Yeah,
I watch rugby as well. I'm well into rugby, and obviously we won the Six Nations this year. So there we go. Ireland is rocking and rolling. I used to play rugby from age of 11 up until 21. But working in a physical industry, where I need all my limbs to not be broken. Yeah. I would love to play it again, but I don't want to break my hand or break my leg, because then I wouldn't be much use in the brewery. Yeah,
you wouldn't be very good just sort of sitting there watching everyone else do all the work, I guess.
No, it's not what they pay me for.
No, definitely not. Not paid to be a spectator.
No.
So just a few quick fire questions just to sort of finish up the segment as such. So what was the last beer that you brewed?
Last beer was 3.8. So 3.8 Pils is one of our core beers, and it's one I really love. It's probably one of my favourite beers that we brew. It's just crisp, refreshing, and it's got nice zesty hops. We've got Nectaron and Tango, and there's a little bit of Mosaic and some Cascade in there.
Yeah.
It's just a proper refreshing pint, and that's pretty much what we have every day after work.
Yeah.
And we've I've been here a year, and we've been refining the recipes, and I think it's to a point now where it's banging, absolutely banging.
Yeah, it sounds like perfect summer drink by the sounds of it. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you've got a nice sort of open tap room here, haven't you? So
yeah, and we're extending the beer garden. So I don't know if you've seen, we've moved some shipping containers and section out a square where there's going to be open seating during the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's going to be.
So Fuggles or Golding?
I've never really brewed with much of either, to be fair.
Oh, right.
think Fuggles is probably win slightly over Goldings. I think there's a little bit more to Fuggles.
Yeah.
And I think Fuggles works a little bit better in lager. I think Utopian have used it quite well in some lagers.
Yeah.
Goldings is a lot more subtle. So probably good in a golden ale, but probably not great in a lager.
And that's obviously what you guys do mainly here, isn't it?
Yeah. So we're pretty much 100% lager. It's been lager focused for 19 years since it was founded as Cotswold Brewing Company. So
if it's not broke, don't fix it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So we've been known for our lagers even since we changed name. We're known for being like a lager brewery, brewing with ingredients from our native Cotswolds, like especially the grain. Obviously, Jeremy Clarkson grows spring barley, which goes into our beers.
Yeah.
So that's a core stone of what we stand for, and obviously we're working closely with you guys to try and move some of our beers, hopefully most of our beers, to British hops.
Yeah. So
it's like seeing what we where we've got with the experimental hops in the hair razor. I think there's some phenomenal things going to be coming out of British hop development in the next few years.
Yeah, no, definitely. And it's nice, obviously, to introduce the British hops into your recipes. It strengthens the whole brand in a way, doesn't it? Because obviously with the spring barley, Clarkson's Farm's only 20 minutes away, something like that. Not far away at all. So it's nice to have that sort of all British in the beer, isn't it, really?
Yeah, definitely.
It really strengthens the sort of reason why we should be using British products and that sort of stuff. So,
and it's better for the environment because it doesn't spend 6 months in the shipping container coming over from America or New Zealand or whatever. Yeah, it's much better from an environmental point of view to be as locavorian and getting ingredients from your local area as possible. Like shop locally, like buy local produce, reduce the food miles. Yeah, no,
definitely. That's really important, obviously, because the environment's always a big thing in the news, isn't it? And how there is a lot of, there can be a lot of news as well on the sort of food and drink industry to help reduce those food miles, because we fly everything from everywhere, don't we? So if you can sort of do your bit to be as British as possible, it's only going to help the whole cause, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
No, that's brilliant. So final question, what's next for you in the industry?
I think like this is just going to grow and grow. Like we're in the summer we're going to be launch our website in Europe.
Okay.
People can obviously still go on the website, but they can't order anything. But we'll be shipping to Europe in the summer, so people will be able to buy beers in Germany, in Netherlands, in Ireland. So that's going to increase sales massively.
Yeah,
and also we've got a massive drive in the on-trade at the moment. So we're driving sales into the pubs. We're supporting publicans with at the moment we've got a promotion called Bar of the Week or Pub of the Week.
Yeah.
So we're putting £500 bar tab behind a different pub every week. Until eternity or something. Like an example of a pub, we've got a pub locally called the Mousetrap, and they've had a £500 bar tab. They've been stockists for years, and they're locals and people further afield with our marketing power. So we've got nearly 500,000 followers on Instagram, and
that makes a massive difference as that.
And if we put up a post saying that there's a £500 bar tab in a local pub, you get some people driving 90 miles to go to a pub, and all it does is stock our beer. But it helps us and it helps the pub. So it's it goes both ways.
Yeah, because I bet that £500 doesn't last very long if. You know what I mean? People are driving from all over the country to get there, but at least they can have sort of one pint for free, and then they're only going to then spend.
They're going to spend more, and it pubs are really suffering in this country at the moment. I think every little bit helps. That if you're pushing more sales, more people to a certain pub, and we're doing it every week to different pubs. I think it just helps the industry. It's a small bit, but it helps certain people in the industry. Yeah,
definitely. I think that's really important, isn't it? Because then obviously you can keep creating great beer that's all different because there's a demand and a need for it, isn't there? Yeah. A little incentive like that to a few pubs across the country, if it makes a big difference to your company, it makes a big difference to lots of people. So
I think what we've seen during COVID or after COVID is a lot of people have forgotten about the pub, and people are just drinking at home, which is fine if they can buy off the website, but pubs are such an intrinsic cultural thing for our country that we should keep them alive. And they're getting expensive, but there needs to be some way we can support it as an industry, because the government ain't supporting it, are they?
Yeah. No, I think that's a really nice place to end our 5 minutes with Faram segment. So thank you very much, Don.
No
and everyone, doesn't sound like anyone needs to check out your Instagram because it sounds like it has enough followers already. But but yeah, no, thank you very much for that. So yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Cheers.